Greetings, Summoners. Cosmic here, and welcome back to another Battle Spirits Saga video. And today we're going to be talking about the store tournaments or the exclusive promos coming to your local game store that you will not want to miss. So if there's anything else you take from this video, since I know people just drop out early, make sure you go talk to your local game store and get them to sign up for these events. You will not want to miss this going into the competitive season. I cannot stress enough how important this is going to be for both improving the game at your store in terms of more people signing up and getting in and all that good stuff, but then also just having access to these promos. So with that out of the way, I've realized that, you might not have followed me on Facebook or Twitter, or maybe you're not on Twitter yourself and you missed the updates from Battle Spirits Saga's handle themselves, but I want to do a nice recap video on some stuff that's happened in the last couple weeks, because this might just be the only way that some people find out about it. So first and foremost, we are going to talk about these store tournaments. As I just mentioned, these are exactly the same as what they're doing for Digimon and One Piece, and I don't personally follow and or play Dragon Ball Super, but I have to imagine it's a very similar system. So Bandai has moved from these promos to do it in a 3-month cycle, which just helps the acquisition part of players getting the promos. So it's very easy to finish a playset. As long as you have a locals that you can play at, it's very, very easy to get a playset just by supporting your local game shop, getting all the promos you need. And if you want to bling it out for the winner's promo, cool, that's an option as well. But generally speaking, because of this new format that Bandai recently is rotating to, it is very, very easy to get your play sets of promos. However, as you might imagine, there are some stores who might not sign up for this, which then is going to increase the difficulty of how many promos are there in circulation. For example, my local game store, when we were getting looped in with One Piece, it was very difficult to get the December promos. We eventually got January. There were some issues with February, but we got all the promos, and it helps get your name out there on the Bandai TCG Plus app. And now we have a group of players that are driving over an hour. I guess it's just under an hour, depending on traffic, right? But let's say they're driving an hour every single Sunday just to play One Piece for these promos. Now, of course, the massive downside of this is by the time you get to that third month of promos, nobody cares anymore. You've got your surplus, especially if you're playing at 2 or more locals weekly, you have extra. Now, that might be a good thing because later on, if the promos are ever good, you can just sell them, right? And you have a surplus of them. But the downside is the third month seems a little bit long, and this might change on a game-to-game basis. But the attendance for local One Piece is down in this month because people don't care about the promo. So that is a kind of a live and die by the promo situation, as it were. But as it is here on the website, it's all updated. I really do love the logo here, by the way. I think this is a really nice job. And I know a lot of people are freaking out about this, but the recommended format is a best of one match. Now, I want to be very clear about this. You have to consider that Bandai is always going to lean on whatever is the easiest option for store owners to run their events. And spoiler, that's going to be best of one. You can just finish the event, right? Let's say it's 4 rounds. Now you're looking at a 2-hour event versus if you're doing best of 3 plus sideboarding plus extra time, it could be, 4 or 5, it probably tops out at 5 unless you do a finals match or something, right? It doubles the time, if not more, that you have to invest into those types of events. And that only gets worse as you add on more rounds. So if your local game store is hosting Battle Spirits Saga on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday night, yeah, it would make sense for them to do best of one. However, as I'm sure, your locals can vote on and store owners will be accommodating for if they have the space for it. But on Saturdays and Sundays, there's no reason not to make it best of 3 and include sideboarding and all that. So while, yes, this does say best of one on the website, obviously talk to your local game store owners, 1, to get this on their radar, but 2, let that local community decide about what's going to be best for them. Because again, this is meant to be more of just go support your local game store, kind of more of a casual, friendly, get new players into the game standpoint. So best of one can also be really good for that. A lot of new players don't want to have to worry about sideboarding, right? You want to just get the flow of the game, and best of one really does help that out quite a bit. So depending on how far along your locals are, just in terms of gameplay and trying to get more people in, you might want to have best of one. Or again, if you're trying to prepare for regionals and stuff, then best of 3 is going to be the best option overall, since that is the official format. So again, take this with a grain of salt. It does literally say right here, stores may choose to adjust the format to better suit their gaming community. Bandai is giving you permission to change this, right? So again, while they have to always lean on the side of what is technically going to be best for the local game store and being accommodating for the different nights that they might play it on. With best of 1, best of 3 is just as fine as well. And now, a lot of positives. Hopefully I've really sold the idea that these promos should be easy to acquire and it should be easy to get your play set. Let's talk about the, not so friendly side of this coin, right? Going back to Dragon Ball Super's, first sets, right? I think a lot of people will very easily remember like the $70 Brolys that you needed 4 of, or whatever absurd prices they were. It's been 6 years now. It's hard for me to remember exactly, but they were over $50 per promo. I remember that because I sold some packs and because I helped out with that game launch as well. And I was like, look, I personally cannot do this. That's just super expensive. And, part of the IP was playing into that, to be fair, right? Because you have something like Digimon, One Piece, or Dragon Ball Super, because it's a well-known IP, you then also have to battle against collectors who are going to then grade that card or just want to have it in their collection and get their playsets, right? So it has a much higher demand when it's a well-known IP compared to something like Battle Spirits, where yes, it was very successful or has continued to be very successful in Japan for 15 years. It's relatively unknown in the West. So it's not going to have that same collector impact. So I think pricing will be a lot better, but you'll notice that it is a participation pack and winner. That's standard. And we know from the leaks that have come out, there's going to be 8 unique cards in the participation pack and then 4 cards in the winner pack. And in the winner pack, it'll just be like, the winner stamp that they do, that they've done in One Piece, in Bandai's Battle Spirits Japan. They do like the gold stamping. And also in One Piece, they just finally adopted it for the pre-release that it has a gold stamp for winner. So there's a couple different ways that they can do it, but generally speaking, it'll probably have like the silver frame, since that seems like what they want to be doing, and we're going to talk about in the launch promo here shortly, but there'll be something unique about it, right? But overall, it'll be the same exact card as the participation. So when you click on this, it does say alt art participation card, but this is in fact a leftover from the launch event information that's on the website, so that is not correct. Then of course, as you scroll down here, there will be information available sooner or later. But what I want to talk about is the artwork itself that we found, and I forget exactly who it was in the Discord who shared the image with us, but I love this artwork, and this is from Xenozard. It is something that we've seen with the Celestial Eye Shin, is another card that fits this angel theme, and just based on the artwork itself, this is clearly, the other confirmation other than just what we know, that it is going to be a unique card. Now, the downside of this is due to the template that's used and due to the fact that we are getting things like Shin, we are getting things like Claviger here, the War Angel, these are not going to be full art. And I guess they could do a zoomed in version like they did for One Piece, so that is an option, but I find it very, very unlikely. I assume that this is going to just be, frame the same exact way Shin is. Again, there is a small, like this big chance that they do the full art zoom like they did for One Piece and give it the special foiling treatment. I really, really hope that they do, but just based on what we know and based on the formatting and the framing of this card and what it would look like for Battle Spirits Saga, it's very likely going to be a very similar design to Shin that we've seen in set 1. So again, holding out hope that it's going to be unique and have that full art and be really, really great. But it's very unlikely. And so I know a lot of people might be thinking to themselves, well, how do I find stores, right? Like, what does that look like? And I want to tell you that the Bandai TCG Plus, there's an app, but there's also a website, is really, really important to use. And I will say right up front, it is not at all the easiest thing to use. It's not. It is a million times better than the last update. So in that regard, I can't complain. It works night and day difference. Like Bandai actually did a very, very good job, don't get me wrong, in updating this how they did. I think it was December is when this update launched. I forget when. And they've also confirmed during the Japanese live streams that there's going to be another update in March for the tournament side of both the app and the website itself. So that's, more to come in the future. But what you need to do as a player and as someone who wants to get excited for Battle Spirits Saga and get your local game store excited for Battle Spirits Saga, and you'll notice that we are under, I guess it's just cut off in the corner here, but we're under the Battle Spirits Saga tab. But more importantly, you can see right here the flow path is home, then other, than store search. So in the top right corner, there'll be something that says other, and you can find all the stores in your state or in your region that are Bandai stores and can sign up for these events today. Literally today, you can call them, tell them, hey, I'm interested in this. I want to have this game in our store. Please sign up for this event. then that's it. They just go in on their portal, not on their end. I literally, walk through my home store with this. It's like 8 clicks. So yes, it is a little tedious to get there, but it's very easy to sign up and make sure that you are locked in for these exclusive promos. So again, if you don't have a local game store yet, or you're just unsure of where to go, check your store search. And you can just see here in Michigan, and again, full disclaimer here, Michigan is not a good state for Japanese trading card games. Never has been, never will be. So the fact that we have 39 Bandai stores in Michigan blows my bloody mind. If you would have told me this, 8 years ago now, when Force of Will launched, and like that was the big Japanese trading card game, and like obviously we had Vanguard and other stuff around, but like I won't even go on a whole spiel about Bushiroad and store support. If you know, you know. But if you were to tell me that there was 39 stores who were going to carry a Japanese trading card game, or have the option to carry a Japanese trading card game, my mind would have been just absolutely shattered at that. So again, not all 39 of these stores are going to be carrying Battle Spirits Saga at launch, but they do have the ability to sign up for the events. And again, I really, really want to stress how important this is. Again, for One Piece, which keep in mind is obviously very big. It's doing very, very well. A lot of people want the promos, but people are driving an hour to play in the events to get these promos, because our store is one of the few that does it on Sunday. And they found out about our store events because we signed up and because we're in the Bandai TCG listing for weekly events. And again, if you're unfamiliar with event search, it is quite easy. You go to event search, it pops up which category of events you're looking for, it populates the list for you, you select the date, it's easy peasy. Obviously, I'm in the Battle Spirits Saga side, and there's no events yet, so I can't, just pull this up, and I'm not going to detract to go through One Piece, do all that, yada, yada, yada. But it's quite easy. And again, that is like the best way to get people to your local game store to play Saga, by having those exclusive promos. So again, I really think this is a bit of a double-edged sword. I'll fully admit that up front, that yes, if the promos are too good, like if Star Dragons is fine, that's a poor example. Let's say if Mecha for the Dual Gun Mech Lord Durham Dino, right? If he gets some amazing support that takes that deck from like a very solid tier 3, let's say they print 2 on-reveal searchers for Mecha that draw cards and replace themselves, right? Just something insanely busted is what I'm trying to get at. Those now become an automatic staple that people are going to have to buy, even if they don't plan to play that, in that regional down the line. They need those cards to test. And, some people could say, oh, just proxy, what have you. But if you want to play those cards in your local events to test for bigger regionals, you will then have to find a playset of those 2 promos. And that's where this kind of gets into the other side of, yes, those could be very expensive if not a lot of stores are signing up for this. Now, again, in Michigan, I think we have 3 early adopter stores and 3 more stores now that are getting the launch kits, basically the pre-release, I shouldn't say pre-release, the launch events promos. So I'm not worried, right? Because that should be a lot of promos in circulation. Because again, it's 3 months that you have to get this play set. And as long as, Bandai says, just to put this exact date says, let's say in May, or I think it was June it goes till, right? Now, let me just get the exact date so I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's say in August, the new promo cycle comes out. August is Gen Con, obviously. There's going to be a Battle Spirits Saga event at Gen Con. There is no bloody way Bandai is going to say, oh, look, we have our brand new promos that come out. We're going to have an event on the 10th of August, and a play set of these are going to be legal. They're not going to do that. They haven't done that for any One Piece events, so it's not going to happen in Saga. Like, I know some people are already fear-mongering about that, but it literally will not happen. We have proof that it will not happen, so get that out of there right away. But if we have an event in, say, late September, then it's obviously much more reasonable that people would get to play those promos in that event. So it's all going to come down to Bandai's kind of self-awareness on how available these promos ultimately are and where they are getting distributed. Because again, if we go back to what they did for Digimon and specifically the Gen Con event, right? So the Gullimon promos, those got reprinted into the ground. So they could do a special printing, like an alt art of the tournament packs or regional exclusives, right? And then that's a way to increase the circulation of them like they did for the Gullimon promo. And that could be fine too. Let that be an entry reward. Let people get a massive, massive, massive influx of those promos at Gen Con. and then they can sell off the early ones if they need to, or they keep those like max rarity versions. That's fine too, right? It gives a player the option that, okay, well, I got my playset from Gen Con, so now the 3 months of promos that I would be getting, so that would be what, August, September, and October, I don't need those anymore, right? Or I can just sell those off, thus putting more product into circulation, be it TCG player, Facebook sales, what have you. So I think from that side, it's going to be absolutely fine as long as we don't see some like massive regional pop up, which again, Bandai has been good about so far, so it shouldn't happen. As long as we don't see some major event pop up where they're randomly legal for some reason, it should be absolutely fine. So again, talk to your local game stores, get them signed up for this. And then if you need to know where you can contact them, Bandai TCG Plus app or website, find a local game store, you're fine. Beyond that, the other updates were the store release event. So again, April 28th. And which is really weird about this is we still don't have a release date for set one for the, booster sets, core packs, and starter decks. But I'm guessing it's that week, right? So it's going to feel really weird to like have that launch event happen that Friday and then be like, oh, I got to open my product really quick, right? Because this is a full powered event. So like all booster packs are being opened, starter decks and core packs. So it's like build the best deck that you can. And because this is after Vegas, a lot of players will likely be looking to just, hey, what did well in Vegas? Let's copy that list because it's a good starting point. Like a lot of us are testing quite a bit for it. And that will help guide the decisions on like what color that they want to play in set one. And then also for this release event. Now, this one's not as exciting in my mind. So it's really nice that they're going to be doing a life card counter, because I know a lot of people are like having these. If you don't have an official Battle Spirits Saga, or I guess Battle Spirits technically works too, mat that has like little life things, this is great just to put on your mat and like have its own designated zone. And then like the Big Bang energy alt, it's not even alt art, right? It's just that silver frame foiling. That's kind of whatever. Now the thing that look, y'all, I know a lot of people are not excited for this because it uses the CG, but technically, this will be the rarest version of Imperial Thunder Dragon Sigworm, and it will also have textured foiling, which is also, so one, it's the artwork that's unique. Two, it's the only textured foiling print of this. And then three, it also has the silver frame if you like that. If you're a Star Dragon player, you're going to want 4 of these just because. And like, yeah, you have to go get them. And then it's also really cool that they're doing the core case. And, this might not look like the most exciting thing. And it could be a placeholder. So the jury's going to be out on this one for a bit. But I did really love how they did the tins in Japan. And I'm hoping that we get more of the tin style than like what looks like a plastic pop-up. But that remains to be seen. So in Vegas, obviously, we'll get the first look at these and we'll give a proper feedback at that point. But again, this is something that stores originally had to sign up for back in November, and now they can sign up until the end of the month to get these. And they probably did it because having to sign up back in November just literally didn't make sense. So they want more stores to have access to these. And again, it's a great way to get players into your store, caring about the game, and also then just establishing like, hey, all the people that showed up for this, what day of the week works for you to like host weeklies and stuff, right? So it's a great way to get the game on the local players' radar, both from a, hey, I was already interested and I need to know where to play this game, and then also new players like, hey, people are playing this game, what is it? And as somebody who's been doing a lot of demos, when things like One Piece or Magic or Vanguard and other stuff has been going on, a lot of people are like, hey, what card game are you playing? I want to know more about it, right? So honestly, the best thing that you can do, and which Bandai is currently doing, is doing these like road tours where you just go in on a busy day, have a couple friends show up and demo the game, and naturally other people will be curious about what it is. Because honestly, the cores are a massive strength of this game because people see extra game pieces and they're like, hey, what's going on? And, I'm still kind of a mix on that because I know some people want to use the core cards, some people don't like the cores, but it's something that is very unique to Battle Spirits that not other games are doing. And that is just very attention grabbing for a lot of players. So again, I'm going to hopefully get a playset of these because I just really hope that the texture is done well on these. And it's also going to be the only printing ever of this card. And as someone who just wants to get a playset of everything from a collector standpoint, I have to get 4. So I might just be paying out the wazoo for them. But again, this is going to be April 28th through May 12th. Very small window to get, to host these events, but it's a release event. So it makes sense that it has to be limited in terms of the timing of it, but it should be a very fun event all the same. And then the last thing for those that just like a update if you missed it, but I'm really happy they did it, is that they finally went through and updated the product page. So if you're curious for a new player or what have you, to say, okay, well, I want to know more about Dragon Onslaught, they can click into this, and it's actually a very nice landing page that they've put together for this. And it's really nice to just see like the complete visual list. So that's also an option for players. So I am a huge fan of like all this. And I know it's like a minor detail. It's one of those things that they had to do like eventually, but it's still good to see. So again, the biggest thing from this is please, please, please make sure you go talk to your local game store. It's absolutely critical that you get them to sign up for these events, and hopefully good stuff is coming around the corner once we find out more about, you know, what these promos are. And again, we know from the leaks, as it were, that it is going to be 8 cards, which is kind of a lot, right? But so that's going to be 2 cards per color, which, you know, could really help out some of those colors. So for white, I hope to see something for Mecha. For purple, I hope to see something for Shadow. For yellow, obviously, it's going to be Luster, and there's an Angel, so it should be Luster. And then red, like red's kind of just fine overall, so I'm really curious to see what the red promos are going to be, especially considering the core set red promo is insane. Actually, just insane. So I'm really excited to see what promos that everybody gets, except for red. And then, of course, we do have the Naga artwork here, or the serpent artwork, excuse me. So we know at least one of the cards will be tied to the serpent package, which could go a couple different ways, right? So we have like the depletion side and the curse side, plus rotting swamp. So I'm really curious to see where that ends up landing. But with that, the last thing I'm going to say here is I do have a series of videos that I'm working on and editing in the background for just matches videos. Normally the people that I would record with are going to Digimon Nats and all that stuff. So obviously I'm going to be limited in terms of what I can do for the rest of this week, but I have some gameplay matches. I probably won't do a voiceover just for timing reasons or other things. I'll just get them out there so there's more content and more games to watch in general. But then next week, hopefully I'm going to swap over to that different video format I talked about in my previous video. So we'll see if people like that version more or the voiceover and all that stuff. So stay tuned. Again, if you want to see more Battle Spirits Saga, as always, make sure to subscribe. There's going to be a lot more content in the weeks to come. But until then, my friends, stay hydrated, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.